My regards. A time bomb in Paris Saint-Germain. The media does not talk much about it, but it could appear at any moment in front of us and we can see it, as happened in past experiences of coach Luis Enrique. Of course, we all know that about 2 weeks ago, Mbappe scored a hat-trick, so Luis Enrique came out with a strange statement, meaning that Mbappe, yes, scored 3 goals, but I expect more from him. In the things that I did not like about his performance, this thing was considered in France as something strange and incomprehensible, meaning a player doing more than what any coach could wish for, and the coach came out and criticized him. We also mentioned that the French coach mocked this statement indirectly, while Thierry Henry was it is very clear, and he said the problem with Kylian Mbappe is that he is an excellent player, and very special, to the point where expectations from him become far above the norm. I mean, the club begins to expect impossible things from him, and there was a hint, perhaps, to Enrique's statements. So, Enrique's statements about Mbappe were strongly confronted in France because for France, Mbappe is a treasure, a player. In theory, by the end of his career, he is supposed to have won the 3rd World Cup for them in their history, and won them European nations, in addition to the fact that he will perhaps be one of the best French faces in the world of football. On the other hand, Enrique clashes with the biggest name in the team, not with something new. We remember that when Ali went to coach Roma in the first match, Totti put on the bench, and in the second match they were sent off with the team tied, so there was a very big uproar in front of him, and when he went to Barcelona he had 2 problems. In the beginning, he had a problem with Xavi sitting too much on the bench. The bench, and there he was asked explicitly, you sat Totti on the bench in Roma and you regretted it in the end, and now you are sitting Xavi, you just want to impose your control in any way? He told them no, the issue has nothing to do with control, then it was his conflict with Messi, and we remember that things got worse between him and Messi, they do not talk to each other, had it not been for Xavi to intervene and solve their problems. And Barcelona won the treble with Enrique in the first season, of course every season after that Barcelona was declining under him. Enrique after the Monaco match and victory. He tried to justify his previous statement. He said about Achraf Hakimi that he is an ideal offensive and defensive player. But there are things that need to be improved, and there are things that have ideal words that do not fit together. Then he went to Mbappe and said he is a super player and a wonderful player and does almost everything on the field. But I am a demanding coach, and many football coaches are demanding. One of the famous examples I remember now is that Man City owned Adebayor. Adebayor scored Roberto Mancini's hat-trick after the match. He criticized Adebayor because in 1 or 2 situations he did not pass the ball correctly. This was the beginning of Adebayor's problems with Mancini at that time. The demanding coach must be smart, know when to demand, and the player who requires him, meaning a player like Mbappe, it is clear that he is the pinnacle of football professionalism, he wants to be the best possible. There is no need for you to try to pressure him more, for example, like you don't try to pressure Cristiano, and neither does Messi. These are players who think they naturally succeed. The coach must be smart here. It seems that Enrique has a problem with the decision. He chooses the player who is really being pressured in order to move forward, especially when you see the statements of players like Vitinha, Dembele, and Monet more than a player present. In Paris Saint-Germain, it is clear that they look up towards Mbappe's colleges as the leader of this project, the leader of this team. This means that Enrique must pay attention to this problem. With any stumble, the crisis could explode even after Newcastle's next match in the Champions League. If Mbappe was asked, it would have been him. The star of the match might say, we asked the coach, because he is not happy. This relationship is dangerous for Paris Saint-Germain and also dangerous for Enrique himself, because yesterday in Defense Central, and we know that it is a Spanish website, they were talking and saying that Real Madrid finds support from a completely unexpected person, from the person who betrayed them one day. They meant Luis Enrique, who had moved from Real Madrid to Barcelona in the past, and the headline was that Luis Enrique was pushing Mbappe to Real Madrid. This means that if Mbappe wanted to remain in this tense relationship with statements that he did not like or that tried to affect his image, he would say, I will leave. It is enough that the league in the first place is not the league that is followed by the media, and Paris Saint-Germain is not the club that can give me what Real Madrid gives me in the media and even historically. And from here begins the story that what is happening may be against Enrique himself. Paris Saint-Germain gave Mbappe a certain place. He cannot be touched, meaning you are a player who cannot be touched, just as Messi was in Barcelona, he cannot be touched, and Ronaldo in Real Madrid cannot be touched, and therefore the same situation with Mbappe cannot be touched, meaning you cannot criticize him, no. You can enter into a major collision with him and think that you will win this collision. Secondly, Mbappe has proven in the past that during the negotiations his focus is not just money. He has other requests related to the sports project related to the coach. His requests were met in the past more than once, not only in the matter. Last time with Real Madrid, before that, Mbappe had an influence on the club's decision-making, and why doesn't he also have an influence this time? I mean, there are still no teams for Mbappe who have not signed with Real Madrid, even now with the French atmosphere that surrounded him from Dembélé and Muani. This atmosphere is perhaps closer to his heart. A player like Mbappe might think that he will remain as long as the financial contract is terrible, and as long as the coach is suitable, so if the coach is not suitable. It is possible to say that the coach is not suitable. Since the performance so far has been less than expected in many matches, it is not very strange. We see Paris Saint-Germain saying sorry to Enrique early, and this talk actually came out 7 or 8 months ago. I remember that it was in the past. The possibility of Enrique's departure since last 8 months means that there have been hints for a long time that the relationship is not good. I see that the problem of Enrique and Mbappe is a problem that affects the transfer market, and it may be a negotiating card for the Paris Saint-Germain administration with Mbappe to expel Enrique. The problem also affects Paris Saint-Germain itself. Because it is certain that Enrique is not with all his focus, if there is someone who is protected, and this thing does not suit him, and it may also affect the entire team this season. Like Paris Saint-Germain, meaning it may all go wrong as a result of them feeling touches of tension between them. Their most important player and coach, this atmosphere is kept quiet, but I think it must be resolved quickly by the Paris Saint-Germain administration in order to ensure that they complete the season safely. Now they have a very important match in the Champions League in which they try to be semi-qualifiers. Because if they lose hope in it, they may find themselves in a predicament they never expected.